just simpler to just, you're already calling it ACN, just call it ACN, especially when we're global. So, and that's the global part is just, it's like hitting the lottery, man. I mean, it really is. It's like, because it's one of those things, until you experience it yourself, you really, because I mean, I sat right where you're sitting, right? And I'm sitting up there like, in my head, I'm like, could this be real? And it almost sounded too good to be true, and I've heard that before as well. And the brother looked at me and said, well, where do you have to be on Monday? I said, at work. He said, that sounds too bad to be true. And he looked at it and he started making, and it just made more and more sense. He was like, are you going to pay your bills this month? He said, that money's going to go somewhere. He said, deregulation, all that word means is that the consumers get confused. That's people who pay their money. And entrepreneurs get rich. So deregulation is when you're breaking up monopolies. You know, when you're breaking up a monopoly, like up until 1983, everybody had AT&T. Now there's over 1,000 long-distance companies that have consolidated and come back and forth. But even with the airlines and every other industry that's out there, they break them up, especially when the economy goes awry, so that you can have other people. That's why people that own businesses get more tax breaks than an employee. So they set up different ways for you to become a broker within major industries, and it made sense to me. You know, it's like they're going to take care of the people that are employing the country, not the people that are working for the country. You know, so it's awesome. But I can tell you what I said about the global. My first residual check, that was $22. I can honestly, for the first 3 months that I got checks, even my first check, in my first month, I cleared probably about, it's been so long ago, but I want to say it was close to about $2,000 or $3,000. And my first residual check didn't come for 90 days. And I'll be honest, for the first 3 months, I was scared to cash the checks because I was like, I'm in LA, and they had the airplane thing going and all kinds of stuff going. And I was like, I can't go to my father and go to jail. I was like, if I take this check to the bank and they can't put me in jail. I mean, because you hear about stuff, because I was that type of cat that would stay up all night looking at info commercials. And you hear people saying, you can make all that. I'm like, how are these fools making this money? You know, and you're like looking at all these different things. Like, there's got to be a way, you know what I'm saying? And I started looking at franchises to open up a Subway right now. It's going to run you $125,000. To open up a Kisno, it's going to run you $137,000. And that's before the doors open. You see what I'm saying? Out of pocket. For McDonald's, you need $250,000 paid out. You need $2 million that's been sitting for 2 years. You're on a waiting list for at least 5 years to go to Hamburger College. And they guarantee you won't break even for 7 to 10 years. Now, I own restaurants now. And the restaurant business, they tell you need to commit a minimum of 5 years before you get to a positive cash flow. So I'm looking at all these different businesses, even in real estate. Yeah, there's big margins there, but to get into a track record, to understand the industry, to be able to place yourself properly, you know, and I started with residential, you know, and my father started as an agent, and he was just like, he just did it to know where real estate was. So you're getting anywhere between 1% to 3% as an agent. If you're a smart agent, and I use this for real estate for those that understand it a little bit, it's identical to real estate in an inverted program, meaning if you become an agent in real estate, you got to give up your weekends, your nights, and everything for open houses. Then, if you're smart and you have a degree, you can go and become a broker in 2 years. After you do that, what happens is if I'm training you, because I'm looking for talent, I'm looking for somebody who has a work ethic, I'm looking for somebody who has a pit bull mentality that understands and wants to go out there and do deals. And so in that, I'm training you, and I'm training you in the demographic in which I'm familiar with. So now you work for me for 2 years, 4 years, depending on how aggressive you are. Then you break off because you become a broker. Now 3 major dynamics happen. Number 1, you become my competition. Number 2, you cut off a stream of income because you were my best person on my team. And number 3, you become competition in the market in which I trained you. That's just foul. Here, if I train you, my job is to find the person in here who wants to replace me so I don't have to come here. That's why I run many states throughout the country and many countries throughout the world. It's because I was able to train people to duplicate. It's a duplicatable system of somebody who just wants to take an ownership. It's a very simple thing. I say the same thing depending on the crowd. It alters from time to time. But, you know, people's like, well, you're so good at what you do. I was like, well, if you said it as many times as I said it, you'd be good too. Say the same thing. You know, 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. There's no magic behind that. It's like, God, you know that 2 plus 2 is 4? You see what I'm saying? It's like it's one of those things where it's a system. The word system itself stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. And so 95% of Americans work for a system. There's a school system, EDMI. There's, the tax system. The network is a system. Everything. In a church, there's a system. But most people are working for the system. They haven't learned how to make the systems work for them. And that's where you start learning compounding interest, compounding efforts, compounding. Everything is about leverage. If you go to number 5 and 6, it's based on the oldest wealth principle in the world. J. Paul Getty, first documented billionaire in the country, said, I prefer to have 1% of 100 people's efforts as opposed to 100% of my own. Because at 100% of your own efforts, if you stop working, you no longer get paid. And that was one of the first conversations that really enrolled him in this whole program. He said, let's say we build you a team of 100 people. And this week you got sick. And you didn't go to work at all, which we've all been in that position before. But you have 99 people on your team. They all work for 1 hour in their own business. Your paycheck is going to look like you clocked in for 99 hours. I was like, that's gorgeous. So what if I build a team for 1,000? How about 10,000? I mean, someone said, well, you know what, I'm reaching for the moon. I said, I'm not. He said, why not? I said, because there's already footprints on the moon. I'm going much further. And it's like, my thing was, I just needed somebody who was willing to show me how to do it. Because think about it, every one of your incomes in here is in direct proportion to your knowledge base. You can't make any more money than you know how to make. That's not motivating. That's just a fact. You can be as intelligent. I know people with PhDs, BAs, BSs, JDs, LMNOPs, and they're all in debt. And when you understand that 80% of the people that get a degree don't practice in what they got their major. And a lot of people are here in the education system. 70% of the people became wealthy, dropped out of high school or college. So I said that earlier, but it has to resonate with the person to understand how many people are working 1, 2, and 3 jobs, or parents are still working. I know people with a lot of money, they don't have a lot of time. And I know a lot of people with a lot of time, but they don't have any money. I wanted it both on my side. And I needed to have a teacher. Think about it. We had a teacher from the time that we can remember as a child at 6 years old. Yes, yes.
Yes.
You go to high school, you go to junior high, elementary. Some of us went on to college. You go and get this education. And I had this conversation with somebody who I'm mentoring right now who is extraordinary, because I went to go see Django, and we had an amazing conversation about the word nigga and everything that's in the movie, because my sister is one of the most powerful people in the entertainment industry. I left it about 15 years ago. And I actually was there with Quentin Tarantino. So we went to go see it 2 nights ago. I'm sitting there with him. We're having a conversation. Me and Quentin having a conversation. And it was just a very in-depth conversation. He said, the people that don't get what I do are the people who think within a box. They have a perception and an opinion, but they'll go home with that same perception and opinion, and their income won't grow. He said, and all the people I've been around that have been amazing, none of their incomes grow past 30% over 10 years. How many people do you know their income grows over 30% every year? That's a minimum. A minimum of 30%, your income jumps 30% every year. I've experienced that for 5 people in my family. When Australia opened, I told him, who told him, who told her, who told him, who told him, who told him, who told him. He said, I know everybody in Australia. When Australia opened, my income jumped an additional $20,000 per week for 6 months straight. So just like when I got a chance to meet Mr. Warren Buffett, he said, how many people do you think I really entertain their conversation? He said, they listen to me, they say that sounds good, it's interesting, and go home and stay broke. And I gave them an open invitation to meet me personally. He said, I'm talking at Princeton all the way down to Marshall B School, it's like Stanford all the way back to Harvard. He said, and I only really work off of a 3rd grade education, but I use most of what I do off of a common sense. That's why he gave over 3/5 of his income he gave to Donald Trump. More than he even gave his own kids. All of them combined. Why? He said, because I'm going to give it to a steward. It's a whole nother conversation. You see what I'm saying? Donald Trump had a meeting with Warren Buffett. Far and far few between as far as time concerned. Said Donald Trump went and set the meeting. Not Donald Trump, I'm sorry. Bill Gates set the meeting. And Bill Gates said, he told his assistant, he said, set the meeting for an hour. He said, we have nothing in common. This man still drives a Chevy truck. He doesn't use a cell phone. He's not technologically apt. I'm all about technology. I'm Bill Gates. I do Microsoft. What do we have in common? I make more money, I'm up there, right? So they ended up having an hour meeting that turned into over 12 hours. He slept over and then stayed for the next day. At that point, if you remember, and this is all documented, he actually, at the time, was going through a whole lot of anti-lawsuits about monopolizing software patents. He released all that, then went into a philanthropy. And it's one of those laws that the more you give away, you actually more get back. Most people are trying to get all the time. It really comes down to how you serve other people, how you're helping other people, how you give away. And it's a crazy dynamic because we never think that it's like, even from a tithing perspective, I'm supposed to give, when you have money, you're like, God, I just came into this money. When you don't have money, it's like, I ain't got no money to give you. But until you learn certain laws of the universe that aren't supposed to make sense. Because everyone that's ever done something extraordinary, it didn't make sense how they did it. But they found something a little bit deeper inside of them, and they had a deaf ear to what everybody else had to say. You see what I'm saying? And this is no different. When you look at it and the ignorance, and that's what I was talking about earlier in the presentation, ignorance is bliss to a degree. And that is that the NFL by itself is a $33 billion industry. The NBA is a $55 billion industry. The music industry is a $90 billion industry. The television and movie industry is a $111 billion industry. Network marketing, unbeknownst to most of you in here, is a $147 billion industry. Nothing touches it. But we wouldn't know that because we work a job. But if you're going to go fishing, doesn't it make sense to go fishing where fish are?
Yes.
That just makes sense.
Yes.
You're going to go where it's most fertile to be able to take advantage of something and make something happen for yourself. And where I'm going to start where I left off at, and that is after elementary, junior high, high school, college. Don't raise your hands in here, but think about it. How many of you here have a mentor? I'm not talking about someone who you just go to and talk to when you have a problem. That would be God. Do I follow you? But a mentor. Do you think that Tiger Woods has a coach that he's with every day of the week when he's training? How about Michael Jordan? How about someone like Kobe? How about someone like Arthur Ashe, or you can take it to current day Serena? Do you think that they have a coach that's there every day? They talk all the time. They're working on strokes, they're working on grips, they're working on conditioning. You guys follow me on that so far? See, back in the day, the apprenticeship, if you go back, apprenticeships would last anywhere from 7 years to 20 years. That's why Mr. Trump created a show called The Apprenticeship. A lot of people don't know the history of it, but that's where it starts. See, if you're going to be groomed by somebody, it's a daily groom. It's not where you talk to somebody once a week like you're talking to a counselor in college. You guys with me on that so far?
Yes.
And so in that grooming of becoming who you are, it comes down to character. Everyone that you can think in your own head that you think is amazing has an amazing character. It doesn't have anything to do with their talent. It has to do with their skill set. It has to see, that's why people that got C's and B's in high school and college are millionaires today. The A students, all of you guys have had A students around you, and it's a general statement. There's no absolutes here. Is everybody with me on that?
Yes.
But most of the people that got A's real quick, they could read a book and then go back and get an A. They aren't doing anything with it now because they never had to work for it. The BC student that actually had to go to school, whether it's in high school or college, they had to read it over and over. I can remember when I was in school, and the brother was like, "You come to the party?" I'm like, "Dude, I haven't even finished. I can't get through this dang chapter." I had to read it over and over. You don't retain anything you had in high school or college. You can't even remember the classes you really took. But there was something dynamic about the person who got that B and fought for it. Those are the ones that are wealthy today because they acquired a skill set called a work ethic. They don't know how to stop until they finish. Like, I'm going to get this. You are not going to beat me in this class. Is anybody understanding this conversation?
Yes.
And those are the people that I attract and the people that I look for. So why I'm here in Arizona is because it's the most fertile place. The gas and electricity is coming over the next 12 months. Would you like to know about a stock for a company like IBO, or a stock for Apple or for Google or for Facebook? Do you want to know about before or